Alright, so I guess the first thing to touch on should be how the combat works in this game. The bread and butter, so to speak. Um, all combat in this game, no matter how many units are involved, uh, can be resolved using 2 dice. One for the attacking player, one for the defending player. You'll each roll 1 dice, and that can resolve every combat in this game, no matter how many units are involved. And I'll get into how that works now. So each unit in this game has a strength modifier. Um, Infantry, for instance, has a strength of 1. Armor has a strength of 2, and it's a pretty heavy hitting, hard hitting unit. I'll make a separate video on all the quirks of these units and their, what they're designed to do and all that good stuff. But as a rule of thumb, the higher strength a unit, the better it is. And the reason for that is when you roll these dice, so let's say this green infantryman with a strength of 1 is attacking this red infantryman with a strength of 1. I'm going to declare an attack. I'll cant this on its side just to show that it's attacked and it can't attack again. The red player, he's defending, so he hasn't attacked. And then we'll both roll our dice. So let's see what happens here. Okay, so nothing happened. The reason for that is because hits are scored in thresholds of 5 in this game. So what we do is we multiply 5 times 1 to get a hit. We didn't get a 5. If this was a 5, we would have scored 1 hit on this green infantryman, who has an HP pool of each unit in this game, no matter what unit it is, what division level unit it is, has a 6 hit points, so to speak, and these represent brigade level entities being knocked out, or troops being killed, equipment being destroyed. Just it loses its combat effectiveness, and that takes down until it hits 0, and then that's when it's removed from the game and put on the casualty board, which will give you 1 war score, and that's one way you can score war score is destroying your opponent's annihilation. But here's a little graph on what I was saying earlier. So you're going to roll, and you multiply by the unit's strength, and then you get 5, and then round down. So let's say, I had rolled a 6 here. That's 5 and up. I still get a hit. That's 1 pit on the dice left over, but that doesn't get to get carried over. So if it was, say, this, so let's go down to this armor unit. This is a 1 strength unit attacking a 2 strength unit. Let's see what happens down here. So we're going to roll the dice. Okay, so terrible roll for these guys. Well, let's say, they scored a 5 and they got a 6. So 5 gets paired with the 1 strength, that's 5. So he's going to get hit on this tank. Starts with 6, we go down to 5. And then the tank has a strength of 2, so this is actually a 12. And 5 fits into 12 twice, so that's going to be 2 hits. Now, the extra 2 pips of damage, so to speak, don't carry over. If he had scored, if for whatever reason, he had 15 damage, that would be an exact, and he would go down to 3, But that is how that works in terms of, here's the graph there. So, here's the tank right here, so 4 times 2 is 8. That's going to be 1 hit because he didn't quite meet the threshold of 10. He's too short, so basically he was only able to get 1 hit in this case. Same with the infantry. So if he had rolled a 4 in this case, let's say the tank had rolled a 4, he would have scored 1 hit because that would have been 4 times 2 equals 8. 5 goes into 8 once. It can't go into 8 twice. Therefore, he would have only gotten 1 damage, and it's all simultaneous. So these guys are going to do damage to you. If you're the defender, you're still going to get to shoot back. I mean, these are entities that are shooting at each other, and they're not just going to sit there and take it. Another factor that comes in and can modify a unit's strength is the terrain in this game. So let's just take, for example, this is a large city. It gives +2 strength, in this case, to this red infantry. So this infantry is now going to go from a 1 strength unit to effectively a 3 strength unit for if he's attacked. Only the defender can utilize terrain in this game, so it doesn't matter what terrain this attacker attacks from. It only ever benefits the defender. So let's say we roll, we do our combat roll. So in this case, the defender scored very poorly. He didn't even get anything. That's going to be 1 times 3, and that's going to be 3. No hits. The attacker did get 1 hit. They're 1 strength. Had he rolled a 5 here or a 6 here, either or in this case, then that's multiplied by 3. So he would have actually gotten 3 hits on this guy had he rolled very well. If he had rolled a 2, he would have still at least gotten 1 hit, because that's 6 or 3 times 2, that's 6, and 5 fits into 6 once, so he would at least got something. So you can kind of start to understand how, at least on defense, how important terrain is for certain units that can take advantage of its properties, because it makes it to where you're no longer relying on an RNG chance, so to speak, because now you would have to basically roll a 1 in order, which we did earlier, funnily enough, but the chance is always there. But you basically have a 5 out of 6 chance of scoring at least 1 hit, and then after that your return on investment, so to speak, with damage just goes up the better you perform. Like at 50%, then it keeps going up to where you do more damage. Here's an example of a terrain in the woods. This red infantry actually has a +1, so now he's a 2, and this guy's still a 1. Forgot to cant that guy. Cant that. They'll roll. They'll do some damage. So that's going to be no hits for green, because 3 times 1 doesn't meet 5. This red is actually going to get 2 hits on green, because 5 times 2 is 10. 5 fits into 10 twice, so he is going to get hit there twice. Just shows the importance of terrain. Attacking a strong position is it's pretty devastating in this game. Now you might be thinking, well, that seems a little crazy. Why would anybody ever want to attack? Well, there is a mechanic in this game called combined attack. So this unfortunate guy down here, he does have a large city, so he is a strength 3 unit. So, but there are 5 infantry here, and they're all going to declare what's called a combined attack, and so they're all going to get canted. Their side, they're going all in. So that basically just multiplies their strength. So now each one of these guys alone is a strength 1, but now they're strength 5. So now it's 5 strength versus 3 strength. So we'll roll. Wow, some really poor rolls today. Just do that again. Okay, that's pretty reasonable. So of course the red player, is going to get 3 hits in this case, because 6 gets multiplied by the 3. 5 can fit into there 3 times. And so the attacker gets to choose how he wants to divvy that up as well. So he could do, 1 here, 1 damage here, 1 damage here, 1 damage here. He could do, 2 damage on this one, 1 damage on this guy. However he wants to do it. That's just to represent, the attacker. He's deciding which units are getting sent in. It becomes more important whenever you have units like tanks and stuff, more valuable, so to speak, units engaging. But if you look down here, because we had a strength of 5, this 3, that's going to be 3 hits. You'll notice that no matter what we rolled in this case, we're going to get a hit on this guy regardless. So because we already meet the threshold of 5, and no matter what we roll. So if we had rolled a 6 here, we would have just outright killed this guy. That's the power of force combined attack, like force multiplication. Like, you can do some real damage if you outmaneuver individual units in this game and take them apart in smaller pieces, even with the benefit of terrain. You know, that's going to be a really good, favorable trade. Like, that's brutal. You know, that's one hit. He has 1 HP left, so to speak. You know, he's getting cooked out here. So it's really important to, you know, try to limit getting encircled, surrounded in this game. That's why maneuvering is so important, because you can bring all your strength to bear. Not to mention the ability to, you know, dictate which units are actually taking the hit, as to where the defender, obviously it has to be him that's taking the hit. There's no, even if you had a buddy here, you know, wouldn't really matter. But that's the basics of combat. There's a couple different factors that different traits and stuff units have that give them edges. Some units can attack from range, like artillery and all that good stuff. That'll be covered more in the unit portion, showing what units do good at what and what they're allowed and not allowed to do. But as a base rule of thumb, that's how combat is resolved. You use strength, and you multiply your strength based on your terrain, or the amount of units attacking, to determine what the result is. And then the dice is just basically it represents the battle that's being fought. Random variables that no general or anyone can really take into account for. You know, you can stack the cards in your favor all day long, but at the end of the day, the battle's still a battle. Things can happen unexpectedly, which creates randomness, but you can take that randomness out, which is part of the player who maneuvers better is going to be able to negate a lot of that randomness, so to speak. And, you know, if things go well, they're going to go a lot weller should I say, than they otherwise would have, as opposed to the player with poor positioning, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things is going to help you get more war score, you know, destroy more units and win the game. But that's pretty much it for combat. I think next we'll go into unit specific, what units are good at and what specialties they can bring to the table in terms of abilities and things of that nature. But thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.